that life surprises us. This little girl's path led from Illinois cornfields to East African jungles. From five-star hotels to sleeping in shipping containers by the River Nile. I've flown in prop planes held together with duct tape and floated through Venice canals. Of course, that girl was me. St. Louis is woven through my life by memories and recent events. Pictured here is Wendy Llewellyn, who was a good friend during college days. And it's here that I graduated from Patricia Stevens College, now the Stevens Institute of Business and Arts. And in the train station gift shop, remember the renovated Union Station that reopened back in 1985? That was my first job out of my hometown. So I feel really connected to St. Louis. Okay, when I graduated from college, I wanted to go to Washington, D.C. I had a job interview at 1 o'clock. See that very lovely to your left hallway? I received instructions to go down that hallway, turn left, enter the first door I saw that said personnel. I did that. I had a 3-hour interview. I said yes to the job, but I was at the wrong hotel. I got a job at the other hotel, Washington. And it involved working with people at the White House, and that's the inauguration of Daddy Bush way back when. Had a really great experience living in D.C. And then I saw this book. They poured fire on us from the sky at Barnes & Noble in Knoxville, Tennessee. Now, this is several decades after college, of course, or a couple. And what does that mean, they poured fire on us from the sky? I didn't know. Well, what I learned was that it was about children who had experienced warfare. And I wanted to meet these children who were now young adults from Sudan, and I did. They became very good friends, and they said, Anita, you should go to Sudan. And so I did. Here is a 12-passenger bush plane that I landed on Sudanese soil for the first time. It was Easter Sunday of 2008, which was 9 months after I read that book at Barnes & Noble. And you can see there's no airport, there's no TSA, just a wide open piece of dirt. And it didn't take long for me to get indoctrinated into the sports and activities of the country. I had landed in a place called Yay, spelled Y-E-I, pronounced Yay! Tent dwelling became my mode of living. The white tent was my home base, and the red tent was my travel tent. So I could just fold it up and go anywhere. I learned about landmines and demining. When traveling from one location to another, it wasn't uncommon for a long line of trucks and land cruisers to sit for hours at a time until landmines were detonated and it was safe to proceed on the road. I was most interested in education of the children in Sudan. The war had destroyed infrastructure. Rebuilding was a goal, but it would take time. Schools, as you can see, were mostly open air. Attendance was impacted by weather, no toilets, no electricity, in addition to a shortage of trained teachers. So I began meeting with an international community of peacekeepers, government and military officials, and parents to learn more about the education needs. Along with a like-minded group of Americans and Sudanese friends, we created an organization to build schools and sponsor students in a location outside of Yei called Mukaya. And we established the Africa Education and Leadership Initiative. We organized, planned, raised money, built structures, and on May 19 of 2008, we opened our very first school with 18 girls and 4 teachers. And the high school we built had walls, latrines, a generator, and school supplies. The 4 teachers were all qualified and degreed educators. We planted school gardens that supplied beans, cabbage, corn, okra, eggplant, and groundnuts, which we call peanuts. We hired local people from the community to tend the gardens. So these were all the things I didn't see at the earlier schools. We aim to build peace through education. We had students from many tribes who were learning to debate one another logically rather than fight one another. Mila in the red t-shirt, she was our first college graduate with a degree in agricultural science, and she was determined that no one in my country would ever go hungry again. That was her motivation. Well, this cute little kid right here, we met in 2009 because by that time I was living 6 months out of every year in Sudan working on this project. And the chief and the sub-chiefs of the village presented him to me because his father had died in war and his mother died from typhoid. And so they gave me that child and said I could raise him. And he brought along another boy. They were 9 years old when I got them. And that has been its own surprise throughout time. And we could just sit here and admire George Clooney. Because he's the real deal. He puts his money where his mouth is and is on the ground. Okay, so many moments, some on a grand scale and others of humble origins, have been significant surprises, and I am so grateful. Peter Pan said, "To live will be an awfully big adventure." Louis Armstrong sang, "And I think to myself, what a wonderful world." I believe both. I'm here for it, and I wonder what surprises life has in store for each of you in the coming days.